Hello and welcome. Today in our poster, we are going to share with you a brief overview of power dynamics within the classroom. My name is Kristen Carlson from Minnesota State University, Moorhead. And with me today is my colleague, Dave Blanchard from St. Cloud State University. Today in our session, we are going to walk you through existing power dynamics in K-12 and higher education classrooms and hopefully give you a better understanding of those dynamics and give you a few ideas on how to restructure power dynamics within your own classroom.
So one of the pieces that we want to do first is to establish what are power dynamics when we're talking about classroom experiences. So in this context, we're talking about both K-12 and higher education classroom settings. And in both of these settings, they might be physical rooms, or they might be in digital or even asynchronous settings. So we are really looking at three different components of power dynamics. First is that it is a perceived power within a classroom or learning experience that might be something that is systemically reinforced. It might be reinforced through the experiences of an individual or the actions of an individual. A lot of this has to do with relationships. Next, we also look at how there are perceptions around power and how those are formed. Sometimes power is completely a perception-driven piece, either by the person in power or the person who is perceiving someone else in power. Lastly, we really focus on the imbalance of power between learners and teachers, or learners and instructors in this setting. And when we're looking at this imbalance, there are going to be three major categories that we'll go ahead and take a look at. So the first thing that we'll be looking at is looking at power dynamics where the instructor is seen as higher than the students, or that level of power on the instructor is higher than the students. So that instructor is going to be the one that gives information, that helps and that supports people, but also maintains the control in that classroom setting. So we can think of this as that sage on the stage aspect that many K-12 might feel, that are looking through how that teacher is the center of a classroom or the content knowledge holder. So in context, this might look like direct instruction, where there is a very tight learning cycle. It might look like a lecture where one person is controlling and orchestrating everything, or it might look like a traditional asynchronous experience where learners are kind of just going through the motions of learning because someone has already set up all of the control.
In the second stage, the instructor status is seen as equal to the students, and the instructor is responsible oftentimes for negotiating, planning and discussing, and then making that ultimate decision or deciding things within the classroom. They're also seeking information from the students and still providing some of that help, support, and control, but on a different level. The negotiating and the planning is more collaborative in nature. So within the classrooms, you might see this as small group projects. The teacher is moving around the room, working with students, building relationships with them while they're working or communicating with their classmates. In terms of the curriculum, you might see project-based learning. And in online class settings, you have opportunity for synchronous office hours where the instructor is easy to access and students may come and discuss things and talk about the course with the instructor.
So in the third context or setting, this is going to be where that instructor has perceived power of lower than the students. Here, they are seeking out information to share with the students, giving curriculum in a fashion where they are delivering that. They are also helping, supporting, and controlling. In context, when a teacher is sitting in a position lower than the students, we might see inconsistent class structures. We will likely see lectures that are probably disengaging, the potential of having class favorites, where there might be a set of students who that instructor continues to call on, go to, or seek out information from, but it's a really small set. And in an asynchronous environment, we might see a very disorganized class structure. So a learning management system that is maybe dumped into everything that you need for a week, but not ever in a consistent, orderly fashion, and not leveraging the power of the learning management system for unlocking pieces or being able to share out information in collaborative ways.
So one of the ways to better the classroom is to balance that power dynamic, to ensure that the students and the instructor are of equal status, at least sometimes within the course. And this can be done in a few different ways. The first is building a culture of care, making sure that the instructor is giving affirmations to the students, is providing supports for students to succeed. Second, building learning partnerships, where the student and the teacher do have a relationship within the class, that there is a balance between what the instructor is expecting and what the student is accomplishing, and that the instructor is not pouring too much heavy lifting on the student, where they are responsible for doing all sorts of assignments and additional hard at work play, instead of being supportive and scaffolding things within that partnership. And using the learning partnerships, we can start to build rapport and alliance, which then gives our students that cognitive insight, that ready for rigor framework that Zaretta Hammond references in her culturally responsive text, where students have been validated, they are receiving wise feedback, they are having instructional conversations with students in the class, but as well as their instructor.
One thing with balancing this power dynamic is we're really looking at how there's more relationship in the center of all aspects of the class. So through like these three category pieces that Zaretta Hammond really hits on in her book, we can see that relationships are essential to everything. So we would so appreciate questions and comments on our assigned Padlet, and also reaching out to us on social media. Both Kristen and I are active on Twitter, and we would love to hear from you and engage with you on ongoing discussion throughout this topic or any of the other pieces that you might be interested of.
So here are some of our references, and thanks for checking out our poster session.